Good morning, everybody. It is June 30th, the final trading day of June. It's also Friday, thank goodness. And you're watching MarketStream. My name is Joseph Cusick with the Cusick Group Securities offered by Money Block. And here we're going to talk about Europe. The open has come and it looks positive. Right now, the European indices are now moving to the upside. And what's interesting here is that we have a battle. Taking a look at an ETF that, in full disclosure, I have exposure to for my clients, FEZ. The reason why is I use this is because it takes the top 50 stocks in the euro. It's called the Euro Stocks 50 ETF, and it's been in a battleground. It pulled back pretty dramatically yesterday after a negative session that transpired in the States. That flowed over into Europe. We had mixed action in Asia. So there was a lot of potential volatility yesterday, but the markets are firming up. And it's interesting because it's a pretty decent bounce after not only the negative action that we had in tech, but also, we have some interesting data that's coming out. We've had a lot of statements from European leaders, specifically central bankers, like ECB President Draghi coming out earlier this week, what sounded to be very hawkish statements saying that low inflation is short term. Then he came out and said, kind of retracted some of those statements, but definitely was laying down the line that the policy of capital infusion is still in play. Then we had Bank of England Representative Hollandale come out and basically say that there is concern that they're not moving rates fast enough in England to ward off rising and spiking interest rates. That also gave a little pause, but then the market continued to pull back yesterday. Now, the big concern right now is not so much inflation, because we're seeing, for example, the Q1 GDP for the UK came out. And you see the FTSE is actually up 11 points this morning, below its 20 and 50-day moving average. So right now you have the UK in a bearish trend. But the GDP came in line, basically at 0.2% and 2% year over year. But the euro dollar and the pound are strong. Energy is firming up. And you have tech rebounding this morning here in the States. Not completely negative. We also had a CPI come out. It was up about 1.3%. Estimate was about 1.2%. So you have a little inflation there. And consumers are really rallying this morning. Consumer names are rallying this morning after some weakness that we saw yesterday. So we have some critical and offensive sectors that continue to rebound, but you can clearly see, though, from just this picture, there is somewhat of a bearish trend in the UK. And EWU, we'll see how that ETF reacts today. That's the ETF that tracks the FTSE. You're seeing similar action in the CAC. France right now basically had a flat PPI, so there's not an expectation of huge future growth, unlike what we've seen come out, which was a big pop in manufacturing PPI in China. But the consumer names are spiking today in France, and that could be due, in fact, because of the pop in the PMI and some other positive economic data out of Asia, as well as the U.S. markets firming up. And then taking a look at the DAX, we had some interesting action in the DAX so far today, up 2 points, but really where the interesting action has come from individual stocks. Specifically, Adidas is up about 2.5–3%, basically because Nike gave upbeat earnings here in the States. So Adidas is up. We also saw Bayer, down 3.8% this morning. They cut their outlook, and that could potentially weigh on large drug stocks Let's keep an eye on that one, see if that flows over here into the States. EWG right now is trading. We'll see if it's going to trade down again, but looks like it's, let's see if it trades a little bit higher going into the States. That's the ETF that can track the German indices. And again, I think right now there's a bit of a battle going on for the bulls in Europe. It has had a pretty decent run over the last few months. As a matter of fact, like I said, look at FEZ, and you can see that after this gap in late April and then into May, it's run and then pulled back. This is an area right now where it has to hold if the bulls are going to have a chance in both the short term and intermediate term to resume their upside. Otherwise, you could see some challenges here at the $37, $36 level, or in other words, some further pullback in Europe. But again, we'll keep our eyes on that during the trading day today. All right, folks, that's it for On the Open. Join me at 9:30 Eastern Time, 8:30 Central Time. I'm going to be talking about everything that's going on in the U.S. market. See you then.